Okay, let's have some fun and create some liquid with Lagoa. First of all, we need to, in this case, create a null. I want to use a null as my emitting object. I'm going to change the shape to a box and go into the ice module, create pouring liquid. And I'm going to select my box as the collision object. And it's going to create my graph for me. So it creates a compound inside of which are the key elements creating the liquid effect, and I'm going to press play. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to make it look as though it's coming out of this gun. So if I were to try and rotate the null like so and then press play again, it actually does nothing because it requires this initial force to be set. So if I make sure I'm in local mode, I can see that my y-axis is pointing this way, so it needs to be a negative y value, something like that, and there we go. It's now pumping out. I can actually just move it inside here, or what I might want to do is actually just scale up the volume slightly, and you'll see now it fills that volume. If I just press pause, it'll fill that volume based on the sim quality in this case, which is the resolution. The sim quality is actually hooking up the sub-steps together with the size of the particle, because the smaller the particle, the greater chance it has of going through an object, so it changes the sub-step. So I'm actually going to reduce this down slightly to say 0.4. Let's see what happens now, because it will actually work on the size. If I scale this up, the size of my box, there we go. Now I'm starting to get a bit more of the splash I'm looking for. So I'll just move this inside my gun. Actually, I can also play around with the visibility and just turn off the view visibility, so it looks like it's coming out of the gun here. And we're starting to get the right effect here. Now, with the initial force, obviously, if the greater the speed, the more chance that the collision substeps will have to be increased. Now, with fluid, the surface tension, if I take this off, means that it's just going to be like a bunch of individual molecules, but you increase the surface tension and it's now going to act more like a proper liquid when it interacts with the floor. Actually, yeah, if I put the null underneath the gun, I can have a look at the interactivity, because maybe I don't want it to be exactly like this. I can start to move this around and see just to see how that's looking. So it's cool that it's so very interactive, which is a great boost for performance. So I've got a kind of liquid going here. What I need to do is go and add a mesh polygonized surface. So create the surface from that point cloud, and there we go. It's been designed hand in hand with Lagoa to give an effect out of the box straight away. So what I'm going to do is just increase the detail here. Now, what's interesting is you see how it's interpenetrating with the actual box itself. If I were to go and grab the deform Lagoa fluid shaper, there we go. It really does start to take on the cool liquid effect. And here is the removing intersections as well. Very important. So now we can also play around with the mesh flattening and the intensity as it hits these areas. So for example, going around with the mesh flattening, you can see there we go. That's getting a lot better. If I were to hide the particles, or if I just simply turn them off inside the viewport, changing off the point clouds, and now again it's interactive, and I'm seeing the results as it goes here. So this is still quite a low resolution of the actual polygonizer surface. I can obviously increase the detail, play around the ISO level, and even just do a little bit of smoothing inside here. I can also use the straight deform tools as well on the mesh, because it's just a mesh here. But it's cool to be able to at any time just play around with the surface properties and see how the liquid effect is happening here. It's just so much fun to play with. It's all interactive and really works well with the polygonizer surface. Very cool.